What's going on, everyone? It's Alex from Metal Master Kingdom, and welcome to another episode of Virtual Chats. And today on the show, we have the great pleasure of welcoming a fellow Torontonian, Phil X. So,
What's up, man?
so good,
How's
man.
it going?
Good. I just want to say thanks so much for joining me. I've been a fan for a while, so great to have you.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Good to be here.
All right, man. So, getting started off the bat. Where are you right now? You in LA?
Yeah, I'm in Los Angeles. Well, outside Los Angeles to be technical.
Yeah. Um, I guess I gotta ask you, like, how's the whole situation right there? Because what's been going on, the fires and all that.
Well, that was crazy for a while. It calmed down. But it's funny what people don't think about is driving around with all that stuff that burned up in the air.
Yeah, yeah.
So it rained shortly after that, so that kind of helped. It was just a crazy time, man. There was a couple of times I was driving somewhere and my wife called me and said, "Hey, there's a fire just broke out close by." And I met a fireman who's our daughters go to school together.
Uh,
So nice to have an inside scoop.
there you go.
So I'm like, "Dude, the fire just broke out over there." And he's like, "Oh man, no, it's under control, man. You're good. I'll let you and I'll evacuate.
Hmm.
If I evacuate, then you evacuate."
Right, right.
It was kind of like that. So, but man, it was like my wife has a huge heart, so her idea to feed all these fire departments while they're working their butts off was amazing, and it was just crazy. It was a crazy time, but
Yeah,
it's like anything. There's always something happening in the world, and you just deal with it the best you can.
absolutely, man. But glad to hear that things have sort of simmered down on that end.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and props to your wife, as you said, for having the huge heart, because that's something that we need a lot more of these days. Good hearts.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, people were thanking me like I would drop off food and but I'm like, it's my wife, man. I mean, I love
Yeah,
helping, I love doing it, but she's doing all this cooking. And at
absolutely.
some point there was one night that we dropped off to five locations, five fire departments, and we had friends help help drop off, deliver, because I was doing the long distance drives,
Yeah,
and she's a caterer, so she's got all the equipment to keep it hot.
there you
Um,
go.
so, but man, I was like, "Hey man, can you come early and maybe chop onions?"
Nice.
So
Well,
everybody that contributed physically was amazing, as well as people that contributed to the GoFundMe. That
yeah,
was spectacular.
good to hear, man. Good to hear. So speaking of like other happy stuff going on, you got to the new Drills album, Kyle, right in the Kisser, and from listening to it, the title definitely lives up to what you is a perfect representation of what you can expect. Um,
Awesome.
from what I understand, this is the first Drills album in well over a decade. Is that right?
No, it's that it took a decade to make.
Yeah.
So, well, it's a full length. Yeah, I guess it is full length. It's been a while, but Stupid Good Lookings Volume 1 came out in 2019, and that was kind of like a sneak peek of
Okay.
what we were doing, because there was still a different drummer in every song,
Mhm.
and then again a different drummer in every song, and then this time 11 drummers on one record. Which somebody mentioned it to me before. I mean, I don't think of it in terms of guests. It is guests, but people are like, man, usually people have a guest vocalist or a duet or a guest guitar player,
Mhm.
and you had 11 drummers, and I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm a huge fan of drums. I can't play drums, but I love drums, and I was fortunate enough to work with a lot of the drummers on this record and other artists' records.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, for instance, Kenny Aronoff, he's on this record. He's a pal,
Yep.
and I can't even. I've lost count of how many records we've done together.
Yeah.
But it's someone like him where you play on other artists' records, and you just saying, "Hey man, will you play on my record?" It's kind of like, "Hey, what do you want to get for lunch?" It's kind of like you become pals. You
Yep.
become because you're in the studio making music, and in that making music, you're gelling off each other's vibes and creating chemistry and all that stuff that happens when you make music. So
Yep.
it's and we have a blast together. So he's just one of the examples, you know.
Yeah.
Tommy Lee, I played on all his solo records together,
Yeah.
so with him. So it was kind of like we already had that history. So asking him to play on the record, and then he's like, I'm like, dude, will you? And he's like, dude, yeah. So it's kind of like that.
Yeah, man.
But I wanted to I wanted to be when you pitch a song to Tommy Lee to play on your record, you want it to be something that you hope he connects with.
Yeah.
So I found a YouTube video of him doing a drum solo at a Crew concert, and he was playing this groove, and I'm like, man, that groove is sick. And I wrote "Fake the Day Away" to that groove.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's the current single that's out now. It came out a couple of weeks ago,
Yeah.
and and, and it's funny because he's so charged by music
Yeah.
that I sent him my vocal and my guitar, and he sampled it and put a loop on it and slowed it down and sent like 10 beats per minute and sent it back to me like, dude, I love it. This is the tempo. And I'm
Mm.
like, you're the boss. And when we went in the studio with me, Tommy, and Daniel, we were jamming it. And he goes, hey, can we bring it back another 2 beats per minute? I'm like, yeah, that's your job in there
Yeah.
and behind the window, and then again brought it down. So the tempo that you're hearing now on the record and on the radio or wherever you're streaming it
Yeah.
is the tempo that slowed down like I think 14 beats per minute since
Wow.
the original idea I sent to Tommy. But he's right, man. It gets the heads bobbing. We just did 3 shows in Texas last weekend, and we played it live, and it definitely gets the heads a bobbing. It's pretty awesome. The groove is killer.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you also got Ray Luzier and your Bon Jovi bandmate Tico on this
Yeah.
album. What songs do they play on?
So Ray is on the first single, "Wake Don't Wake Up Dead." That
Uh,
came out. That came out before Christmas, actually.
right.
But I mean, I wrote that song, and then we went into Studio 606 in Northridge, and as it was with every drummer, almost where we would just go into the studio and be a band for 90 minutes and arrange and make sure the arrangement was right and lay it down 2 or 3 times and then have it. That song I knew out of the gate was going to open the record.
Yeah.
It's just the way it felt, and exciting drums, an aggressive vibe, you know, my signature guitar style, Dan's walking bass lines, hit my voice screaming. And I just, to me, it epitomizes the whole vibe that is the drills.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, man, and I just knew it in that moment that was going to be the opener of the record. So I'm really happy with how that came out. And then moving onward, you know, like the second single was Moving to California. And I wrote that song back in, I think, 2003 or 2004. And that was, and Jeremy Spencer was actually in the drills
Oh, yeah.
before he wanted to follow his roots of being in the metal and formed Five Finger Death Punch.
Oh, yeah.
That went crazy.
Yeah.
So, but you know, that was a perfect song for him to play on this record because
Yeah.
of our history. And I just hung out with him last month in Vegas. He's such a great cat. I love that guy.
Yeah.
But there's a relationship with all these guys,
Yeah.
and and Tico, man, we were on tour in 2018,
Hmm.
and we just played the T-Mobile Center and had a Sunday off, and I just, hey bud, I know you like to golf on your days off, but I have this song I want you to play on for my record. You feel like going into the studio? And he was like, of course. And we went in there, and Find a Way was born. It was, I mean, I feel so fortunate to be able to do this and to have done this now. But all these drummers are, you know, some of my favorite drummers in the world. Same
Yeah.
with the drummers that were on uh, Stupid Good Lookings, like Gabe Laborio Jr. and Taylor Hawkins was on that record.
Oh, yeah.
And Glenn Sobel, Brent Fitz. Brent Fitz is also in this one, and he's also our live guy when he's available.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and Randy Cook, our my fellow Canadian.
Oh
I
yeah.
I mean, I'm just surrounded by all this drum talent,
Yeah.
and each song has a vibe. Each song has their drum style.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I feel like the luckiest guy in the world, to
Yeah,
be
for
honest.
sure. I'm a drummer myself, so like talking about drummers, like I can geek out on this stuff with you like for a long time. So
Oh, for sure. But it's funny because I
yeah,
know what it's like, you know.
yeah.
Um, but mastering the record, I'm so thankful that Maurer Applebaum, who mastered the record,
Oh yeah.
he came up to me, you know, out of the gate. I sent you. It's not like you hand over songs
Hmm.
and go, okay, master away.
Yeah.
And most guys master it and send it back, or and you make a couple of notes and then they master the whole thing again and send it back. We went back and forth so many times, but it was to make the record cohesive.
Yeah.
He was like, dude, it does not sound like the same record. I'm
Yeah.
like, I know, but it's 11 drummers, 5 or 6 studios, 5 or 6 engineers,
Yeah.
5 or 6 different miking techniques. If this
Yeah.
guy hits lighter than this guy, the overhead compressors are going to act completely different. You know, it's like that thing. So he helped me bring it to where it is. There's no way I could have done it without him, and
Yeah.
I'm really grateful that he was on my side when it came to making it. Because I mean, I originally thought the underlying valuable assets would be my guitar, my vocal, Dan's bass, Dan's background vocals and stuff like that, and lead vocal. He wrote and sang on "Feel Better," but I thought that would be the common denominator that got us to the finish line.
Yeah.
And when we got there, it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
There was guys that played on the same drum kit.
Yeah.
Like for instance, when we did "Feel Better" and "Don't Wake Up Dead," that was Ray before lunch and Ryan McMillan, who played on "Feel Better" after lunch, and it was just, you know, they're on the same kit, but it doesn't sound the same.
Yeah.
And some guys brought their own snares, and some guys didn't. You know, like when we recorded Taylor Hawkins,
Yeah.
he brought like a pair of sticks and a bag of Jack in the Box, and that was it. Okay, let's go. And he was wearing flip flops and kicked them off and played barefoot. And you really got the essence of each drummer.
Yeah.
And then the next day, Brian Tishy played on the same kit, I remember. So, and Brian is on this record on um, "You Sunk My Battleship," which was recorded in 2014.
Yeah.
And then in 2024, a full decade later, we had Tosh Peterson come in and play on "Seemed Like a Good
Gosh.
Idea." Tosh, dude, he's the new wonder kid on
Yeah.
drums, man. And
I
it's
saw
funny
saw
talking to
his,
him.
yeah. I saw his video where he was playing Burn, no, Fireball, Deep Purple on Drumeo. That kid can like fly, man.
He's incredible, and we became friends because I was watching his as a fan, watching his covers in his little room
Yeah.
uh, back in 2000. I don't even know, 20 or something.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, he does a drill song one day,
Hmm.
and it's a song that Matt Chamberlain played on "Stupid Good Looking's" "Something to Say." And then I go, dude, how do you even know the drills? And he hit me back. He goes, I love this, man. I'm a huge Bon Jovi fan, a huge Tico fan, and by default, I became a drills fan. And when I heard this song, I had to cover it, and I felt like so flattered, you know.
Nice.
And then we became friends since. And then came and played "Something to Say" at an event that we held for my wife's catering company, and then bang, I'm like, you got to play on this drills tune. So he played on "Seemed Like a Good Idea," and then when we went to shoot the video for "Take the Day Away," Tommy wasn't in town, and it was
Right.
the only day that the crew and the location was available.
Right.
And bam, I go, Tosh, will you play in the video? He goes, yep. Shows up with his kit, nails that. And then, hey, what are you doing next Wednesday? He goes, oh, I'm playing with Lady Gaga. Like the kid is killing it in the
Oh
drum
yeah.
world.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah, he's the
So
call. So I'm really proud of him. And his dad always shows up because his dad is his tech.
Oh,
which
there
is,
you go.
oh, and I have to tell you this story. We were at East West recording, seemed like a good idea. And Greg Bissonette was in the studio next door
Hmm.
and passed our engineer, Ross Hogarth, in the hallway. And and Ross is like, you gotta meet, have you met Tosh before? You gotta meet Tosh. His
Hmm.
dad is his tech. And then Greg comes in and we're hanging out with Greg because I've met Greg before. We've played on several things at the same time.
Yeah, man.
And and he goes, my tech, my dad was my tech on the Eat 'em and Smile tour,
Oh,
but he
nice.
followed the bus in a station wagon. I mean, the story just gets better and better.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you also mentioned Bon Jovi. Like, of course, we have to touch on that end of it as well. But aside from releasing Forever and the documentary last year, the biggest question on everybody's mind is how's John doing these days after his vocal surgery, and whether there'll be like shows or a tour anymore.
Well, like I said, I'm waiting for the schedule. I think that says it all. We're
Okay,
ready to go. We rehearsed last week
okay,
or 2 weeks ago, and it sounded great.
okay.
So I'm really excited.
His voice is sounding
That's
good.
it. That's it.
All right. I wanted to ask you one thing. How did you end up playing on Triumph's Edge of Excess?
Man, that goes way back. I met the guys at a couple of you know how radio stations back in the day,
Oh yeah,
they used to do like they used to do like
contests.
no, not contests. It was more of a, like a party. Hey, we're having a Christmas party.
Okay,
Why
yeah,
don't you guys come? All the bands, all the artists that live in that are local, come on out and have a drink and stuff like that.
right.
And I met Mike Levine there,
Mm,
and he was like, "Hey, I go, how's it going? Looking for a guitar player?" And he goes, "Well, we've been asking around, and everybody keeps talking about you."
mm.
And I was like, "Oh, like in a good way?" Yeah, in a good way. And then I was at the time I was playing in Canadian band Frozen Ghost, and then I
Oh
had
yeah,
agreed to do a bunch of touring with Aldar Nova.
oh yeah,
So I was in that. I was committed. I didn't play on Blood on the Bricks, even though my picture's on the artwork.
yeah,
But I did do the tour, the supporting tour. And
right.
Aldo was an amazing musician and super talented and great guy. We totally hit it off. But Gil called me. He got my number and called me into the studio at the Metalworks, and he said, "Hey, we want to offer you this job, this gig." And I'm like, man, I just committed to at least 6 months on this tour. If I come back and you guys are still looking, maybe we can talk then. And he agreed. And then when I came back, they were still looking, and we had a talk. And I felt weird because I listened to a lot of Triumph when I was a kid.
Yep.
So it felt weird having to replace him. And Gil actually said, if you don't want to be a member, you seem like you're a good side guy.
Yeah.
Why don't you be a side guy?
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know if I like that either. It's Triumph. Like, it's, the same thing happened when somebody said, hey, how do you feel about, filling in for Richie Sambora, Bon
Yeah.
Jovi? I'm like, I don't think that's possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
That sounds impossible.
Right. Yeah.
but, but everybody's like, well, they might need somebody. And and even Shanks was like, I told John that you're the guy if
Mm,
they need somebody. So you got 5 seconds.
yeah.
And I'm
Five
like,
seconds.
okay. But it's it's definitely Triumph was the first time I learned that I have to dial back to Phil X if it's another entity.
Yeah.
And that's because I remember recording a solo on a song, and Mike walked into the studio and he was like, wow, that's a great solo, but it doesn't sound like Triumph. And I'm
Right.
like, oh, okay, I get it. Yeah. Dial back to Phil X. And I
Yeah.
can do that. And it served me in Bon Jovi too. Because I mean, with Bon Jovi, it's a whole it's a whole other thing,
Absolutely.
like, but I mean, I walked in with just being respectful, respecting the band, respecting the fans, respecting the songs, respecting Richie Sambora.
Yep.
And just I think that all worked out because
Yeah.
it's I'm not Richie,
Yeah,
but I know not to be full for the legs. But there's a
exactly.
guy in the middle that shows up and delivers, and that worked out. And
Absolutely.
quit in 2014. John's like, we're doing a record, and you know, it's not a band if it's just a drummer, a singer, and a keyboard player.
Yeah.
You want to be the new guitar player, and I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, man, I'm down.
Yeah, man. So, you're speaking about, playing with all these people. You're obviously one of the most prolific session musicians out there, and you play with a ton of people across different genres. When it comes to being a session musician, especially a great one and an in-demand one, most people tend to think that the only thing that's required is to be a master at your instrument, but there's so much more involved in that.
Really,
It's the ability to, hang properly and get along with people, and much more like reading the room and respecting the song. So yeah, there's a lot more involved to it.
there are two things for me that are on the top of the list, and one is being a chameleon.
Yeah,
Because if you think about, say, you're in the studio with Avril Lavigne on Monday, and then you're in the studio with Alice Cooper on Wednesday, it's a
yeah,
whole new hat.
yeah,
It's different gear, different guitars, different mindset.
yeah,
Um, I but the other top two, aside from being a chameleon, for me, was being a songwriter,
yeah,
because I know that the vocal is king, and it's all about supporting that.
yeah,
It's about, okay, this is the verse, and I'm going to create this atmosphere, and then the pre-chorus is going to take you uh, to this level, and then bam, it's the chorus.
yeah,
That chorus needs to be explosive. That chorus needs to. This is the chorus.
yeah,
Like, even when you're a songwriter and you play songs for people, the last thing you want to hear is was that the chorus?
yeah,
Obviously, it wasn't.
yeah,
Or if it is, you need to strengthen that shit.
yeah,
So for me, I just being a songwriter served me as well, because I feel like I know how to make a song take you on a trip.
yeah,
It should be a journey. It should be something that musically takes you to different places and stuff.
yeah,
So those are the two things for me. And obviously the hang is important too. You don't want to be the guy that everybody leaves the room when you walk in.
yeah,
That's never happened to me, but I've been the one walking out sometimes.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, man.
but it's really interesting too. But it's owning your shit though, dude. It's
Yeah,
owning it. Like, I've been in situations where the producer was like, "I never heard of you, but the artist wants you on this record, so I got to do my job and please the artist.
yeah,
And here we go. Here's the song. Go do your thing." And then bam, and they're like, "Oh man, that was great.
yeah,
Do you want to play on another 10 songs?" It's
yeah,
like, you know.
yeah, man.
So I've been there, but it's obviously because I walked in with the right set of tools and the right attitude, and knowing that I can do the job. So it's all, the confidence is a big piece of the thing too. I mean, because I've worked on scores, like movie scores, where they call me and they go, "Hey, they want you on Friday. Are you available?" I'm like, "Yeah," but they know I don't read, right? Because working on a movie score is, there's a lot of reading, and I don't read. So I'll yeah, but we'll send you the demos, and maybe you can make some notes and then come in and do the session. I'm like, sure. So they send me the demos, and then so everybody, I walk in, there's another guitar player on the session. His name is George, and I forget his last name, but he's played on every movie you've ever watched. He's like the guy.
Yeah,
But when they want a vibe like mine, they ask me to come in and kind of sprinkle my fairy dust on stuff. So, but he's got his 8 sheets of notes of music on on 4 stands, because I guess when you play piano, you can turn the page. When you play guitar, you can't. So he's got it spread out, and I'm looking at him, and I got my post-it on my stand, and they're basically like, we're getting through the tracks, and so I go talk to George. I'm like, so it's like reading a book, right? He goes, "Oh yeah, I've been doing it a long time. But how you doing what you're doing?" I'm like, "What do you mean? Did you memorize everything?" I go, "No, man. I got my post-it with my notes." And because he said they actually told us that you were going to slow down the session
mm,
and to be patient, but you've been totally keeping up. And
yeah,
I'm like, wow, that's cool.
yeah,
Glad I'm keeping up.
Yeah, for sure.
But
And
yeah, it's all about knowing your instrument and knowing the music and knowing, what it's very instinctual as well. There's a lot of instincts involved.
yeah,
And same thing for solo. Somebody says, "Hey, take a solo," and I'll take a solo. And then, okay, let's do like 10 solos, and then maybe we'll come something together.
yeah,
But the more you take, it doesn't get better.
yeah,
It gets you get more in your head, like what else can you do? And then I'm going, hey, can we listen to the first solo? And they're like, oh my God, that's the solo. But you know what? The ending of 7 was really good. So let's tag the ending of solo 7 onto the first solo, and then let's take lunch.
yeah,
So it's stuff like that. I mean, that was a lot of it. But what's really cool is, if we want to go back to the record, being a chameleon and being in so many situations has served the drills,
yeah,
because there's so many vibes on this record, because there's so many drummers,
yeah,
and it's not, okay, I'm going to use this guitar in every song. No, it's not that at all. It's a different rig and a different sound and a different tonal characteristics that complement the drums. And
yeah,
then the singing on top also is going to be like a different vibe.
yeah,
So I
for
mean,
sure.
I'm really happy that there's a lot of depth that is on this record that isn't on the other records.
Yeah.
So I've shown a lot of dimension to my writing and my singing and my playing. I'm really happy and proud of that.
Yeah, for sure, man. And you made the record. You said there's like a lot of depth to it, and very diverse. But at the same time, with all the different gear, you also managed to make it sound cohesive, which is
Yeah,
the most important thing. As well.
thank you.
And I'm looking forward for everybody to hearing the record. So
Me too.
yeah, absolutely, man. Anyway, so just one last quick question, and I'll let you go. Okay. So one question that I like to ask a lot of the guests that come on the show, because it's one that like gets a different answer every time, and I love hearing what they have to say. But of all your years in the music business, so what would you say is the biggest lesson that you've learned?
Wow. I think it's going to be really simple and really apply to life itself, is just be yourself.
Yeah,
I think because I knew young. I knew when I was like 16 or 17, like I loved Eddie Van Halen. Edward was the king. Edward was all. I knew I didn't want to be a Xerox copy
yeah,
of that. I knew, but aside from his timing and his imagination and his inventive licks, that's what I took away from the whole iconic uh, ice pick to the head that he put in my life. Um, Being inventive and also an individual, just have my own, be inventive, and the joy.
yeah,
Like I saw him in, I was 14. I went on the 1980 World Invasion Tour, and that was Women and Children First support. Um, and it changed my life.
yeah, man.
Like, not only was he playing the craziest guitar stuff you ever heard, but he was sprinting across the stage and jumping off the drum riser and climbing the PA stacks that were ramped up so they could run up the cabinets. It was like insane.
Yeah,
And I thought, man, anything not if I go see a show and it's not this, I'm gonna be disappointed.
yeah, exactly.
So plus, even today, I'll open up Instagram and see a new photo that I've never seen before of Ed looking right at the camera with that boyish grin, like, I get to do this.
Yeah,
And that's what I took away, man. Invent your own licks and just be happy. If I got a guitar in my hands and a mic in my face, I'm the happiest guy on the planet.
there
And
you
you're
go.
going to know it. You're going to feel it. You're going to see it. And it's going to be contagious. And I think that's what it's all about, man. But I think being myself is what got me here.
Absolutely.
Um, you know, and and that's what I tell a lot of people. There's a lot of people that I see on Instagram that are just copying other people, and good luck with that, because that's not what's going to get you where you want to be.
Exactly, man.
Yeah.
Exactly. So everybody watching, learn from what this man says if you're trying to like carve something out for yourself. Okay.
Exactly.
So, all right, Phil, I just want to say thank you so much for an amazing, amazing chat. As a fellow Torontonian, I was like really happy to hear all the stories and wish you well with the drills record and all the live shows coming up. Can't wait,
Thanks, man.
can't hear what Bon Jovi's got coming up and
Yeah.
everything else you got going. To everybody watching, follow Phil X on his socials, and we'll see you soon, man.
Thanks for your time, man. I appreciate
All
it.
right, man. We'll see you soon.
Take care.
All right.